Is World War III right for you? Well, we're going to be discussing that today. So without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. Also got to thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, then be sure to check out that link down below. So World War III. I have been searching around a little bit for some other FPS titles, as Battlefield 2042 and a lot of the other AAA games that came out this year just weren't really doing it for me. So I've been checking out some other ones, and World War III really has just been the one that stuck out to me the most. And I want to go over today whether or not this might be one for you to go ahead and try, if it's right for you, if it's going to have things that you can tolerate or not. Because while I am having fun with this game, I would say this is kind of the other FPS that I'm enjoying the most of the ones that I've tried since about last week. I want to go over it. It's not perfect, but it is fun. So let's do that. First of all, gameplay. Gameplay is very squad oriented. If you're coming from Battlefield like myself, or maybe I guess you could say also something like Warzone, but it's not really quite like that. It's very squad oriented. If you're running with a good squad, a squad's calling out orders, running the right classes and working together, you can have a very good and very effective team out. It would be weird to say on the battlefield, but on the battlefield. And so there is some sense of familiarity there if you are coming from 2042 and you're feeling a little dissatisfied with the state of the game. And yes, squad play is very much emphasized here. You're going to notice in the customization, which is very deep by the way, the way you go through your loadouts, it's very much encouraged to set up classes so you'll have more of like a medic role, an anti-tank role, a support role. There's various roles that you can take up to be able to aid your team and aid your squad out there in each and every match. Now, once you are out playing World War III on the various maps that the game has, it does have two different modes. It has a team deathmatch mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. Then it has something called tactical ops. Tactical ops is kind of the, I guess you could say, battlefield mode. It has various objectives that you'll notice that have the various letters A1 and A2, and there's links between them whenever you control an entire sector of them. So if you control A1 and A2, then there's kind of a link there. You'll also have things like vehicles, which are very, very powerful out and about. Now, the one thing that you will notice is that there is no destruction on the maps. That's fine. I know destruction is very difficult for a lot of people to do, and considering that Farm 51 is a relatively small studio, I doubt they could come up with that. Regardless, the game looks beautiful. The maps very much have a ton of personality to them going around each one. You can just really feel like you're in an actual area where there's a conflict going on, and it just really brings out the personality of this apocalyptic conflict that we're supposed to be going through. And I really enjoy that about the game, just the atmosphericness of it. And in general, the graphics look very, very good. If you have a pretty decent rig, you should be able to run some pretty good graphics. Even on low, they look pretty solid graphic wise. Now that does bring me over to the performance aspect of World War III. The game does seem to struggle a little bit in terms of performance. It's not a perfectly smooth experience. Things like my frame rates, depending on which PC I was running it on, my streaming PC is a little bit more powerful than my gaming one, so I've neglected my gaming PC for a little bit. It's, I would say, about average kind of rig at the moment. It's got a GTX 1060 with about 8 gigs of RAM. It's a little close to the minimum specs required for some of these newer games, but as far as frames go, I was getting about 100 or so frames in TDM, where there's a lot less going on, but in tactical ops, where there is more going on and seems to be more so the main mode of this game, I was getting anywhere from 40 to 70 in that sort of range. And a lot of times I would get really bad frame dips whenever I would get into gunfights. It's probably just because of the rig that I'm playing on, but still I wanted to mention that. Now on my actual streaming PC, which is much more powerful with a GTX 2060 as well as 16 gigs of RAM and an i7 core, it's just runs better on there, and I had a much better experience, a much smoother experience. A lot of my gameplay is from that rig, so I doubt you'll see me streaming it a bunch from this PC just because, well, it's a laptop, so trying to use the keys on it is pretty difficult, and playing with a controller is not very well optimized in this game, which is something I wanted to bring up. If you are a controller player, you're coming from console, you have a PC you think you can play the game on, it is not optimized for a controller very well. Essentially, the sensitivity is locked to the very base sensitivity, so you're gonna feel like a slug as you move around, and that can get pretty annoying from time to time because you feel like you can do so much, but you just can't turn fast enough to get to a certain target, which is a shame because the gunplay is fantastic when you do actually get to it. I really enjoy the gunplay in this game. It's just very snappy, very tight. There's a lot of recoil, but if you can control it and land shots, you can have a really good time. But on my 2060 laptop, it was doing a lot better in terms of frames. It was a lot more steady and I wasn't having so many hitches getting into gunfights. Now, another thing, since we're talking about optimization and everything like that, there is some issues with some of the sound design. Sometimes vehicles and weapons just won't make loud enough sounds, if they make sound at all, and footsteps just don't exist. You'll hear your own footsteps, you'll hear your teammates' footsteps. Sometimes they do have a weird echo, but as far as enemy footsteps, I honestly don't think I've ever heard an enemy footstep in this game. So you will run into issues with that where you get killed by someone, you're like, I didn't even know they were shooting their gun, and they just shot your teammate right next to you, but you couldn't hear it, or there'll be a vehicle you can't hear. In general, sound definitely needs some work. All that being said, I will say it's very familiar if you're coming from Battlefield and you're looking for a more squad focused, more immersive type of experience. The maps are pretty static, but they are beautiful and atmospheric. It's not quite optimized for controller players. I know there's some controller players that follow me, but if you are a mouse and keyboard player, I think you're going to really enjoy this game. It does need some optimization, some tweaks and everything like that, but in general, I think there's a lot of potential with this game, and I think it can be really great fun when they do finally smooth it out. It is going to have a free-to-play open beta, I want to say in March, but if you wanted to play it right now, it is just $15 to get into the closed beta, and then there are various support packages that you can pay for to support the team if you wanted to, but you can also wait till March as well and get feedback then. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below if you want to see more of World War III, or if you've tried it, let me know what you think of the game, and I will see you guys in the next video.